Hey, still in Volume 3. We're at Part 2, Story 8, The Shout That Wrecked a City. The watchmen on the walls of Jericho were puzzled. Ever since they had seen the children of Israel cross the dry bed of the river, they had been expecting them to attack, but none had come. The gates of the city were closed. Every able-bodied man was fully armed, ready to take action at a moment's notice. Archers were posted at the battlements to shoot down any attacker, but no one came. No, none came. Oh, my brain clicked like it normally does. Spies reported that the Israelites were going through certain religious ceremonies, but had no big engines of war for dealing with walled cities, nor were they building any. It was all very strange. Were they planning just to sit there and starve them out? Then one day they saw a procession forming outside the camp of Israel. This must be it, they said to one another as soldiers were ordered to battle stations. I can hear it if you turn it into sci-fi. I can hear them say battle station. Well, that's my brain. I just like science fiction. Okay, but still, the attack did not come. Instead, they saw thousands of men, no doubt five in a rank, as they had come out of Egypt. Five in rank, as they came out of Egypt, began to march not towards the city, but around it. Following them, a group of priests carrying the same strange object they had seen in the midst of the Jordan when the Israelis crossed, had when the Israelites, I say Israelis, but Israelites had crossed it. Then came more armed men, and so the procession wound on until it had gone completely around the city. Then it went back to the camp of Israel and dispersed. Yeah, dispersed. That's funny. That's a funny way to attack a city. A stranger on the wall said someone on the wall. If that's how these men to make war on us, we won't have much to worry about. Huh. Now I'm thinking of the VeggieTale movie. Huh. Okay. That's probably where the VeggieTale got this from. From this. Maybe so. I don't like it, said another. Don't you notice how quiet they were? Nobody spoke a word. So far as I could hear, the only sound they made was with those trumpets. The next day, the same thing happened. The same procession, the same silent march around the city, and it was uncanny. So it was the next day and the next, indeed, for 6 days in succession. Yeah, succession. And then, of course, has an illustration of a man standing on top doing the night watch in his war outfit. I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay, what are they up to? Many people in the city began to ask. Do they think they are going to frighten us by just walking around and around like this? Then came the seventh day. Early in the morning, the procession started again. At first, they seemed to be no difference, and And there wasn't until one complete circuit had been made. Then, instead of going back to the camp as usual, the soldiers and the priests walk around the city again, then again and again, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Still, not a spear was thrown, nor an arrow was shot, and still there was no sound save for the noise of the priest's trumpet and the trump, the tramp, tramp, what, tramp, trumpets and the tramp of the marching host. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, the boom, boom, boom. No doubt the walls were thronged with people by now, all watching the amazing sight, wondering what it meant. Yeah, that could have been the weight that brought it down. And and what might happen next? Round went the procession for the 7th time. Suddenly, all the priests blew their trumpets once more. There was a mighty shout, so loud that so loud was it that it seemed as if every soldier in the ranks of the Israelites had shouted, and at exactly the same moment, and the sound wave appeared to strike the wall by like a battering ram. For all that precise moment, there was a shudder and a shaking as if an earthquake, ooh, somebody's really coming, had hit the city. The walls began to fall down outward. Hundreds of Hundreds of the defenders were tossed to the ground and killed, leaving the city wide open for the Israelites. Minutes later, the fighting was over. Jericho had been captured. Israel's first victory in Canaan had been won. And then the painting is by Fred Collins, and it's a 2-pager. And they got the text is in amongst it. But this is what it looked like. You see the walls come tumbling out. And see they're marching. And the walls came tumbling down. Jericho. Yep, now that song's in my head. Jericho march. And the walls came tumbling down. Huh. Okay, that was part 2, story 8. Now some of these these Bible school songs are in my head, and that's cool. Okay, is this a bad one? Okay, well, that's for that one. And of course, you might not know, Rahab was saved. Her family and them were saved. So they got to get out, and she became intertwined into the family of the Israelites. So she became one. If you wanted to know, that's just, and you go look at, and I don't think this has any more to do with it with Rahab, but you can always read it for yourself. I'm gonna take a break before I get to the next story, and we'll see you in a bit.